All right. Even if you're not a credit union, if not a bank, you're going to want to listen to this Garlic Marketing Show. We're going to talk about the 3 big trends for financial institutions, how to market in a downturn. Why Mark Arnold. Mark, say hi.
Hey guys, thanks for being a part of the podcast today.
How he became a literal dinosaur, why he was told he would never succeed in marketing, but then how he got named Marketer of the Year, how he made sure his credit union clients' marketing doesn't fail, which I think is super important, what branding for credit unions and banks really is, their 4-step process, the exact process that Mark and his team use to really do things like how they helped one bank and get their NPS score up to 80%, and what that did for the bank and when banks should do less marketing. We're going to tell how the way to increase landing page conversion 8%, the problem with institutions and ChatGPT, the audit credit unions aren't doing, that's costing them a lot of money, and the number 1 differentiator of the fastest growing banks. All this on the Garlic Marketing Show. It's an amazing episode. Of course, it's brought to you by videocasestory.com. One of the best ways to grow your institution or any other business is through video case stories. Go to videocasestory.com to learn more. All right, let's get started. Because it's interesting. I mean, I feel like they're so far behind like the rest of the marketing. When I look at it, I'm like, you have so much money and your marketing is so bad.
Well, that tees it up perfect because there's, I think, 3 high-level big trends that financial institutions especially need to know. And I would argue it applies to other companies as well. But the first, you just said it, and to some degree, is to invest during an economic downturn. Right, the winds are out there. Oh, we're going to have a recession. Some people are using the R word, some aren't. But either way you slice it, there's an economic downturn coming. The reality is you never grow by contracting. No, you never grow by contracting. So now's the time to invest that. Right, multiple research firms have shown that investing in long-term projects during an economic downturn actually gets you better results. So you don't grow by osmosis, right? I mean, you got to take attention out. So you got to invest during that economic downturn.
I agree. It's the biggest opportunity. I mean, we started this company at the height of the biggest part of the crash in 2008, and everyone's like, you're crazy. I'm like, this is the best time because
Absolutely.
Everyone stops what they're doing, and it's just such an opportunity to market, to build business, to grab market share. There's innovation comes in because everyone innovates. Also, I mean, just the biggest businesses in the world were started during recessions, weren't they?
They absolutely were. And some of the most successful ones, like, what are your competitors doing right now? They're not marketing. They're retracting, right?
Yeah.
So don't do what they're doing. Do what they're not doing. Go out and invest. Zig while they're zagging. And I think you're going to have great success, not only during this time, but you're really setting yourself up for a long-term success, especially.
I feel, and I don't have any stats on this, but I know, like, I did a video about when COVID hit, right when COVID hit, I'm like, people, this is your opportunity. And literally some of the people that, some of our clients that really went all in, I think they got a 10-1, on their marketing dollar. It was just, the cost went down, the competition went down, and the opportunity went up because people need business, and the long-term opportunity of just capturing market share in those big investments is so key. And I want to talk a little bit in a second about how you see doing that. But before we do, I want to talk a little bit about your story. We jumped over, and I want to talk about how you got into this, because I mean, no offense to credit unions, no offense to financial markets, but it's not very sexy. I think it's fun.
No, it's blast, but yes, it's not sexy. No, that's true. And I would never be accused of being sexy. But my very first job at a credit union was about a year after I graduated from college. And it was as a lowly marketing coordinator. And I was a guy that was dressing up in their mascot suit. So I would go to work every day dressed up as a dinosaur, right? I mean, it doesn't get much lower than being Rex the Savosaurus. But I mean, and I was struggling in that job quite a bit. I was making a lot of mistakes. I spelled the CEO's name wrong in the newsletter, right? I mean, that'll get you fired. Yeah. So my boss, the VP of marketing, brought me into her office one day, and she sat me down and she looked me dead in the eye. And she said, Mark, you will always be a failure in marketing. You need to get out. And she just didn't mean get out of the credit union I was working at. She meant get out of the marketing field completely. So I was crushed, right? And so at that point I had a choice to make. I was either going to be fired or transferred to the collection department.
Oh my gosh.
So I was recently married, so I wanted to keep my job. So I went into collections, was pretty good at it because I could talk to people, could communicate, and so did very well. Eventually went into lending, was a loan officer, and did very well at that, and utterly miserable, right? Because I was doing things I didn't love, I wasn't passionate about. I was crunching numbers and calculating debt ratios, all those kind of things, and utterly miserable. So about 4.5 years after the "you'll always be a failure" speech, another job came open at with the trade association for banks and credit unions, talking about, as a lowly marketing coordinator. So at that point, I had a choice. Like, I was making decent money. I had a choice to make. Do I take a pay cut, go backwards in my career, and choose, passion over profit? And so I did. I really wanted to be a better marketer. I wanted to understand it. And then I got hooked up with a mentor, and he taught me all the ins and outs of marketing and brand. He really poured his life into mine and really taught me. And then from there, eventually I went back to another financial institution as their VP of marketing, led them through a name change, redid their brand, was named the National Marketer of the Year, went on to write a couple of books on marketing, and then eventually found our current company today, 12 years ago, On the Mark Strategies. But I often think back that day when I was told you'll always be a failure in marketing. That's kind of why I do what I do today. It's because I don't want anyone to ever fail in their marketing, in their branding, in their strategy. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
But you say you never want people to fail in their marketing, and right. I feel the same way. I don't, that's why we do video case stories. I feel it's like one of those things that I know no matter what you do with it, it's going to make you your money back. But how do you make sure that your clients are not failing at the marketing? How do you make sure that they make sure? Because I mean, it's a two-way road too. It's right. It's a partnership, not you just doing everything.
It is. It starts with strategy. And I think, rather than just doing a bunch of random marketing and throw out a bunch of creative stuff, right? You really have to pause and understand, what are we trying to hear? What are our goals and our objectives? What is our strategy? And then from there, really create a unique strategy that's going to hit your goals. Almost work backwards. Jim Collins famously says, begin with the end in mind. If this is what you want, do you want more deposits? Do you want more loans? Do you want whatever? And then you work backwards from there. But to make sure it's successful, you can't just put up random stuff. You have to really be intentional and be strategic. And I think that's the key.
I agree. And it's not just about logos, and it's not just about branding, is it? And it's not even just about digital marketing in a credit union, because you do a lot around internally and around culture, and even just walking in the lobby, right?
Yes. Yeah. All that matters. And branding is not your logo. You're exactly right. It's so much more. Branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. What are they saying about you not in the room? That's what branding is. And really, we often like to say branding is far more cultural than collateral. It's far more cultural than collateral.
Love that.
What is it like to work there? What is it like to be an employee there? What is it like to do business there? Branding touches everything. It's not just a marketing thing either. And that's where I think the difference is. Marketing is not something you mark off your to-do list. Marketing is not a product, and marketing is not a department. Everybody does marketing, especially in those in a successful organization, especially.
So true. It is so true. And I love that you say that, because we have so many people come to us, and I'm sure it's the same way. They think logo, they think advertising, they think marketing is advertising. Like, no, that's not what marketing is. It is, like you said, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's the value that they perceive, right?
Yeah, and typically it's for us, it's a 4-step process. We will start with research, understand your market, understand your audience, who you're trying to reach, what are your niches, things like that. Then you go into your strategy phase, and you really understand what is your strategy, how are you going to reach those markets, what are your overall goals and objectives, how are you unique, what's your value proposition, all those strategy questions. Then you move into creative. Right, that's third. You don't start creative, that's third. And then after that, then you go into 4th phase, which we really recommend, is training your staff on your brand and what it is. They've got to see the direct correlation between their day-to-day job and what your culture and brand and values are at your credit union, bank, or organization. That's so important. There's got to see that correlation. If you do those 4 steps, that's what you're gonna have success with your brand and your marketing.
And you have a ton of success stories. I know that because we've worked with you on it. And that's why I love having people that we've done the case stories for on, because I know, like, it's not just some random marketer saying this works. It's like, I know it works. I want you to give me a few just high level successes that you've had. Yeah. I think it's so crucial for people to realize what this can do for them.
Sure. One is a large credit union in the South Carolina market, their Safe Credit Union. And we've been working with them for a number of years. We started working with them on their strategic planning. So we really started at strategy level, trying to understand what were they trying to do. And one of they were trying to do is really have a high net promoter score, an NPS score. In the banking industry, NPS scores are awful. They're one of the lowest rated industries in the world, right? People hate banking, right?
Yeah.
And so they were really trying to raise their net promoter score. That was one of their strategic objectives. So we worked with them on the strategic plan. We helped them craft their brand to really understand what made them different, what made them unique in the marketplace. We're able to do that. Then we journey mapped, really walked out the process from the moment someone walked in to the moment they left. What do you want that journey to be like? From the moment they pick up the phone to hang, what do you want that journey to be like? What do you want the digital journey? We map that out. We train their staff, and now their NPS score is 80%. 80%. That is outlandish. No one gets those 80% score. That is best in class. And they're getting, and they will tell you it's because they went through that very deliberate process and they got that connection between what they're trying to do and what their staff was. Just an 80% net promoter score blows any of their competitors off the water.
And tell people what that NPS score does down the road.
So that is a fantastic long-term indicator of your growth. The higher your net promoter score, that tells you, honestly, you have to do a little bit less marketing because your consumers, your customers, or your members are marketing for you. When you have that high of a score, that is telling you that people are going to start coming to you to do more and more business. Your existing customers or members will do more business with you. Your future ones will as well. So that is a huge even though it's a net promoter score, that is a huge financial indicator. And they're seeing that as well. As they're looking at record loan growth, record deposit growth, but that's directly linked to their NPS score. So NPS score can sometimes feel fuzzy and emotional, but there's a direct correlation between your financial results and your NPS score. High NPS score equals better financial results.
Maintain people for longer. Like you said, referrals, they do more business with you and they complain less. And you're spending less time on complaints and fighting with them. And yeah, when they enjoy it, they make it a great experience. That's marketing.
That's marketing.
It's something I call, I've been writing about this, is calling it the green zone, because it's like everyone concentrates on acquisition, but when you maintain and improve your relationships and market to your current clients, that's really where the money comes in. Profit.
We tell our clients all the time, you could grow and grow and grow without adding one single new customer or new member. How? Just by getting your existing ones to do more with you. Now, I'm not saying new customers and new members are not important. They're very important. But the reality is you can have amazing financial results with the base you have right now.
All right. So let's get back to the trends. What are these? What's trend number 2 you see?
So the first one was to invest in the economic downturn. A second trend, and you'll love this one, is video rules. Video, it is all about video. Recent stat we saw was video on a landing page increases conversion by 80%. Just having it on a landing page, right? And 80% of people can recall a video they saw in the last 30 days. So the question becomes, are you using video in your marketing? We have found so many organizations, credit unions that are not using video. And it's a massive thing. I'm not even sure it's a trend anymore. It's just the way people do business.
Yeah.
And if you're not using video, you are completely missing the boat in your marketing. And I'm not saying TikTok. I'm not saying that's not what I mean. Video. I'm not talking to TikTok videos, right? It could be branded videos. It could be testimonials. You could use them internally, external, all kinds of things. But video's got to be, it can't be boring though. It's got to tell stories, but video is massive. And unfortunately, I'm seeing too many financial institutions kind of behind that curve. They're not using video the way they can and should.
Yeah. I mean, and another one that comes to mind, which I think is super important, is like team members, videos of your team members, because we're not walking into the branches anymore. Everyone's on the phone, and it's like, you can't develop a relationship just over a phone call. But they'll watch a 1 or 2 minute video of who this person is and tell a story about that person. And then you care about that person when you see him again and when you hear him, right? Or
even video banking. Can you go inside the mobile app, click on one tap, and then you're actually seeing your personal service rep?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's an example of using video, right? Even in your operations.
I mean, that's your team stories are so important. People want to buy from people.
Yeah, marketing is still a people business. And so people, and I know there's a massive push today to AI, and we can go all on tangents on chatbot and all that kind of stuff. And, you can go on and on. But the reality is you got to make sure if you go that route, where is your brand in AI? Because we're going so much into tech, so much into AI. There's the danger of losing that personal connection. And I think when it comes to money, people want a personal connection. They don't want a robot. And so you're going to have to be really careful on that. So I'm not saying don't use AI in your marketing. I'm not saying don't automate it. I'm not saying don't go tech. I mean, there's huge trends out there for that. I'm not saying ignore that. I'm just saying be careful how far you go into that.
And I think I foresee a bit of a backlash because everyone's going to use it, and it's going to make video even, it's like, it's going to make it more important because we're not going to trust even the content. I mean, you won't trust the video as much, but if it's authentic and it's not scripted, you can go, okay, this is a real person. I can connect with this person.
Is it real? Is it real? And is your marketing real? Because if your marketing's not real, it's not going to connect.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah, I see everyone rushing to and I do think there's a place. I love ChatGPT.
I love it. There's a place for it.
It's a place. It's a tool, but I still like the creativity isn't there. The authenticity isn't there. And like you said, people, especially when it comes to money, people want to know there's a person on the other side.
Yes, that's what I want, especially when it comes to money. And I'm not saying there's not a place for that. There is, but you just got to it's how you use the tool. It's how you use it.
And so trend number 3,
assess your marketing, assess it. Too many times we just put our marketing out there. We never look at it. We never really audit or assess it. You know, credit unions and banks, they're famous for auditing everything, but they never audit or they never assess their marketing.
That's so
you know, they never look at it. And it's like, you need to really have a third party come in and look to see, are you being, so you mentioned earlier on the podcast, ROI, right? Return on investment. What are you getting out of it? Are you tracking your ROI? It's so important. And a good marketing assessment will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, because you need to do more of the good, less of the bad, and get rid of the ugly. And you can't do that. You're too close to it, right? We're just too close to it. You've got to have someone from the outside really come in and tell you what you're doing right, give you some strategies, give you some tactics and things like that. One of our clients we worked with last year, they were going into a new market and they were trying to grow. They had stagnated and they really wanted to grow. And so we came in and did a marketing assessment for them. And here's what their CEO said at the end. It blew me away when she said this. It really just stopped me dead in my tracks. She said, quote, "We glance at our competitors, we glare at ourselves." We glance at our competitors and we glare at ourselves. I love that quote. And it's so true. We become obsessed with our competitors these days. What are they doing? What are they doing? What are they going to do? And we don't sometimes look at ourselves and what can we do better?
No, it's true. It is true. And I think that also comes back to the ChatGPT thing and also just trends I see in institutions, especially bigger institutions, law firms, financial institutions, is they stare at their competitors and they're like, oh, and they start following them and chasing them. And I'm like, you don't know if what they're doing is actually successful.
You don't. So assess your own marketing, what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
And, don't chase the shiny new object or the squirrel, right? I mean,
it's fundamentals.
It's the fundamentals. And again, look at yourself first. And those organizations that do that regularly really assess their marketing, get a third party to come in and look at it, they see growth, they see results. And because a lot of times you'll get things you can implement right away to immediately improve your marketing. And what we have found is you improve your marketing, you improve your entire organization. A lot of times you don't have, say, a deposit challenge or a deposit growth issue or a loan growth issue. A lot of times you have a marketing challenge.
Yep.
You fix the marketing, you fix so much else, right? But you got to assess it first.
I just want to make that caveat, that asterisk. When you say marketing, you're talking about those 4 steps, that whole from assessment through strategy, through organization, not just assessing your brand and how many people are coming to your website.
No, it's so much more. A good marketing assessment will look at everything. Like when we look at, we look at your org chart, we look at your budget. Are you spending too much, too little, or just right? Right? We look at your people, we look at everything because it touches everything. We'll look at, your frontline staff. We look at everything because you really dive deep in it because marketing touches everything. The whole, it's not just, oh, hey, how's your social media channel? How's your Facebook? It's so much, it's part of it, but it's so much more than that.
And frontline staff, I think that anyone that's listening to this needs to be able to train their frontline staff as market. I think everyone needs to be trained as marketers, but I think just across businesses is probably one of the biggest problems I see because they expect us as marketers to bring everything into the, and it gets to that funnel point. And it's like this crucial point that's just like, not paying it, not marketing. And they're like, well, the leads suck, or, we're not converting any of these leads. And I'm like, well, are these people trained?
That's why that component of training is essential. You can have the best visuals in the world. You can have the most unique things, and you walk in and your staff doesn't deliver it. It doesn't matter. Here's another client we worked with on the East Coast recently. They had fabulous marketing. It was quirky. It was colorful. When we were doing this, I was like, man, this is really good stuff. Until we did their mystery shops. And literally, when we did the mystery shops, their own employees were telling our mystery shopper to go somewhere else for their business. Literally. And that just blew them away. It's like, and another one, same thing. Like, you walk in and the place looks junky and there's stuff everywhere. And literally, your staff is your marketing. And when you lose sight of that, it doesn't matter how great your stuff is. And again, they had a massive gap. We really teach all the time. There are brand gaps. Every financial institution, even every organization, has brand gaps in their brand. You can have a strategic brand gap, or you can have an operations brand gap, or sometimes you have a people brand gap where you're saying one thing with your marketing and your people are delivering something else. That is a brand gap. And that's what an assessment will do. It'll help you identify where are your gaps in your branding and marketing, because we all have them. You got to close those gaps.
Yeah. And if you start just driving leads and you don't have that the rest of that, it's just going to be wasting money. I just want to get into, because I think this training aspect is so important for everyone.
Sure.
When you're talking about training the frontline staff on marketing, what are some of the key elements that you're looking at?
You got to train them on, some basics, as you said, blocking and tackling. How do you greet someone? That sounds so basic today, but I think we've lost a lot of technology. We've lost a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I know that's a generalization, but it's true, right? And so just how to greet someone, how to shake someone's hand, if that's still appropriate in certain settings. How do you, honestly, when someone walks into your place of business, they form an impression. Probably in under 5 seconds, right? How do you greet them? Are you happy to, or well, there's another customer, whatever. That matters. How to ask questions, how to ask the right questions, how to connect. And a big issue today too is we teach this, is that generational marketing. So much of frontline staff now are from younger generations. Yet the people who are coming to your places of business typically are in, the middle to older generations. That is a massive gap. Yeah. And so you got to teach them how to connect with the different generations. And that's critical as well. So that's some skill sets you need, is just that, and is how to connect with people. It sounds basic today, but it's not with your frontline staff.
Yeah, it's probably one of the more important things out there right now, because it can differentiate, because everyone's not doing it. And correct. It used to be such a like service at that level was such a standard thing, and it's gone away. And like now it's like, if you do it okay, you're exceptional. If you do it exceptional, right. People remember it.
People remember, and that becomes your best marketing, right? And the reality is, you have great service, you don't have to. And we, counsel, don't brand yourself around service, because everybody says that. You've got to live the service, because then everybody will tell you, tell your story for you. And
find the stories of that service. Don't say we have great service.
No,
find the stories of those service.
No, we tell, when we do branding workshops for our clients, we say, hey, I always ask this question: what makes you different? What makes you different? And here's what I hear every time: service, 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 service. And people make us different, right? And the American flag drops from behind them as they're talking. Come on, give me a break, right? You can't say that, right? You've got to really live it.
Live it.
And that's a very high bar, right? And a part of that is you've got to then connect your frontline employee to your why. What is your why as an organization? Why do you exist? And if they can really get behind a why and a cause, they are far more likely to come in and be excited to come to work and really enjoy that job, as opposed to, it's just a job, I'm just punching a number. Connect the why. And that's what your branding and vision and values are all about.
I mean, I always tell people that's a great place to use video case stories, is in train those people and show what that's doing to someone. And that's why you have a story instead of a testimonial. It's like what this bank did for me and my family.
Because the reality is, banks and credit unions are making a massive difference.
Yep.
But are they telling those stories? I don't think they are.
No.
Right. There are banks that are loaning money to businesses out there that if they didn't have that loan, that business would go away. That's a fantastic story. And that business is around for 15, 20 years, and it hires all these people and makes a difference. That's a fantastic story. Tell that story, right? Credit union, same thing. They're giving loans. to members who couldn't get a loan anywhere else. I know of a story that one of their members wanted to adopt some children, and they got denied at 5 or 6 different institutions. This credit union approved them, and now they literally have 4 or 5 children all adopted because that credit union gave them the loan. I mean, that's a heck of a story, right?
And that's a beautiful story.
And credit unions and banks have those stories, but you got to tell them.
And you got to
capture them. You got to find them, and you got to tell them and get them on video. And they doesn't have to be a 30-minute production. Short, sweet, get in, and they're so powerful. Yeah,
but I mean, it can be a 30-minute. If you've got a great story, it can be like we do that all the time. It can be entertaining.
And people will watch it, right? They'll watch it. If it's entertaining, they'll watch it.
They'll watch it, yeah. Because I mean, there's plenty of bad videos about how bad banks are and how bad credit unions are. But that story about adopting kids. I mean, this is fantastic stuff. Hopefully, some people take heed of this. I think it's important for like everything you said here. Yeah, it applies to credit unions, but I think it applies to every business. Tell me a little bit about how we can go to markarnold.com to introduce you. You're doing a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, and tell me a little bit about some of the engagements you have coming up. How do people connect with you, and also how do people work with you?
Absolutely. So you can hit my website, markarnold.com. We have a full team there that can help you with your strategy. Bottom line is we help you, either your credit union, your community bank, your organization grow. We are obsessed with helping you grow. And we accelerate your growth through that process. And we can help you assess your marketing. We can do strategic planning for you. We can do branding. But bottom line, it really is about you and what your goals are and us trying to help you meet that. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. We've got a ton of content on LinkedIn. You can look up Mark Arnold, or I think it's @JMarkArnold is the official LinkedIn page. And you can sign up for our newsletter. We have a LinkedIn newsletter as well that goes out on a regular basis. Our belief is we really want to put out as much content as possible to help you become a better leader and a professional.
And it's genuinely educational, entertaining, great content. And obviously you're an expert. And I wish I knew the name of the person that said you never succeed in marketing, so we could call her out. But
I know. Yeah, for some reason I can't seem to find her anymore. I don't know. She's gone silent.
Awesome, Mark. Well, thanks you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show and sharing these great insights into these 3 big trends. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Ian. It's a real pleasure. You are a true leader in this industry. I love being able to follow you. I have learned so much from you. I learned so much from your podcast. Your teaching is fantastic, and just it's been a real honor. And I will say you're helping our business grow. So thank you for all you're doing for us.
My pleasure. It's fun, and it's fun for you to help. It's great because you're helping credit unions, helping these banks, but then you get to help these people and touch more lives. So, and thank you all for taking Mark and I on our journey. This has been Ian Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.